a personal travel advisor here at Hathaway Dream Vacations. And we're really excited about this particular seminar, Vietnam, Cambodia, the Mekong River. It is truly an amazing world to go see. I mean, just you'll see as we go through these slides, the history, and just totally excited about getting into this and seeing what you folks think. So, we're really great and excited to have Richard Bravo joining us today from AmaWaterways to walk through this with us. I do want to let you know that we do like interaction, so please, if you have a question, there's a chat box. Go ahead and put your questions in there, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. So, without further ado, Richard, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction, Don. And you know, I just want to thank you personally, again, Don, for giving us some time with your valued clients. And for you that are joining us, we just want to extend my appreciation to you as well. We know that a lot of people have been joining these sort of virtual calls, and some people have expressed being burned out on these things, but this is exciting. So again, thankful that you took some time to join us today. So this will be really exciting, as Don said. It's just going to be informative, educational. The whole idea with these presentations at this time is to let you know that it's okay to still dream of travel. While we don't know exactly when, in our case on Waterways, when we'll return to the rivers, it will happen. So when that happens, hopefully you'll have some really good ideas on some things that you want to do as well. So today we're going to be talking about Vietnam and Cambodia, and just exploring the history, the culture, traditions of these areas, the local cuisines of Southeast Asia, as we make our way from Kampong Cham down to Mai To. There's two different itineraries that we offer. One of them is the Charms of the Mekong. We'll kind of be walking through that one today. The other one is actually the Riches of the Mekong. So both are basically the same, but overall this journey is going to take us through some big cities to rural villages, to historic pagodas, to monasteries, day markets to night markets. It's really a mixture of the old and new, the past and future, in addition to that amazing gourmet cuisine to street food delicacies. So really kind of across the board. What I will say, and I think Don can attest to this also, we were talking just a few moments ago about the trip that he unfortunately was not able to take, where he would have gone just last month. Right. But this is really, I think, one of the most transformative journeys that our guests experience. We've got amazing products. If you've joined us for some of the other ones, I think you'd agree. If you've ever sailed with us, you would know firsthand what that experience is like. But this one is one that is so immersive, you know, from experiences like maybe having dinner with a local family and they're still at home, to visiting a local school where you're able to meet the teacher and interact with some of the students. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about a bit today. But I always like to start also, just to move through the presentation, to share, or Don, did you want to share a word?
No, I had just said, to your point, you know, I've had clients that have come back from this particular river cruise experience. And unlike Europe is obviously totally different, but the Mekong and the charms of the Mekong and the riches of the Mekong journey is life-changing. There's so many experiences, personal experiences. I think it really sets us apart from some of the other river cruise experiences we've been talking about in the other series. So, and you'll see that as we go through this, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right. No, really good note on that. Also, the other one that I would say probably comes close again, based on what I've heard. I haven't had a chance to experience this one. Is the our Chobe River experience down in Southern Africa too. So that one's another really good one to keep an eye out for. But in terms of AmaWaterways, just to share a little bit of background, we just celebrated our 18-year anniversary on July 1st. So very excited about that. It's an amazing company. It's owned and operated by 3 families. But one thing that I'd like to really share are, you know, looking at our owners here, Rudy Schreiner, his wife, Christine Karst, Gary Murphy, who was actually Gary Murphy's late father, a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Murphy, who along with Rudy and Christine started AmaWaterways. And their dream, one of the objectives to building out this product and setting this company up, was that everything that they set up was to be so thoughtfully curated that this was going to be an experience that they themselves were going to want to experience over and over again too. And I really see that that's what they produced. The other part, just a quick little side note, just to kind of share how this really carries out today. When I first joined AmaWaterways, I had a chance to meet with a number of team members. The VP of product development was one of those people. And I walked in while he was having a conversation with one of his teammates about this one specific moment on when was the appropriate time to serve lunch and what the scenery was along the way. And if we served lunch at this time and we left at this time, it was going to impact the lunch experience. They're going to want to leave early and head back to their stateroom to get their cameras and things. And overall, they were probably extended into about a good 40-minute conversation for this one brief moment on one single itinerary. So again, I just share that because that's the sort of time and attention that goes into every detail with every itinerary we put together. I want to share a short little video also. This is going to give you just an idea what that experience is really like on board. I'm going to disappear for just a moment, but I'll come back right after that and we'll continue on through our presentation. So let me make sure I get this. There we go. Thank you so much for that. Hopefully you enjoyed that and gave you just a little insight as to what this experience is like, you know, just the cuisine and everything, not just on board, but off the ship as well, the scenery that you're going to be seeing as well. If you've never had a chance to visit this part of the world, Southeast Asia, the people are some of the most just hospitable people, just extremely nice, and just it's a wonderful place to visit. So I mentioned before that we offer two itineraries that are really pretty similar. The primary difference being one goes northbound, one goes southbound, traveling between Kampong down to Mai To. So the Charms of the Mekong is the one we're going to be speaking about today. Note that every one of our sailings, not only on the Mekong, but anywhere that AmaWaterways travels, guests will have an opportunity to extend their journey with optional pre and post land packages. So in the case of the Mekong River, this would include post extension or pre-extension into Siem Reap in Cambodia or Bangkok, Thailand. There's also Halong Bay, Ho Chi Minh City, or Hanoi, Vietnam. Hanoi is this vibrant city, capital of Vietnam. In fact, they just celebrated their millennial anniversary, I believe it was in 2010. So they've been around for quite a while. So these post packages allow guests to really just immerse themselves and really take advantage of all the highlights in that area. If you're going to be traveling that far, why not really incorporate some of the other things to see around the area? This is, again, a 7-day cruise with all these different packages. Guests can actually extend this all the way out to a 16-day, 15-night packages. So a lot of experiences that you can include with this. And Don, I think you were sharing that you had actually looked at adding some of the pre and post also, is that correct?
That's correct. On the trip that we have coming up in our group next August, we're adding the Ho Chi Minh extension and the Hanoi and Siem Reap. So we're going for the full 16 days. Like you said, you're going to spend the time to fly over there. There's lots to see. You might as well take those extra few days and get all of that in.
That's right. That's right. So again, starting up in this the part where we're going to be starting at, actually, yeah. So down in the south in Ho Chi Minh City, also known as Saigon, right? City in southern Vietnam, also most populated with about 13 million residents in this area, as well as about 8 million motorbikes in the area as well too. So I've got a short little video I'll try and include a little bit later just so you can see how that is. But lots to do and explore, very energetic town. And looking at this particular image right here, this tall building off to the right, it's kind of a little bit cone shaped. This is the financial building, and it's within easy walking distance from where our guests stay at the hotels in the French Quarter area. If you can see that small little platform kind of off to the left side there, that's actually a helipad, but it's actually the same floor where there's a really wonderful place to go with a wonderful watering hole, if you will, the Eon Heli Bar. You can grab a great refreshing drink there. There's one called the Saigon Fizz, which is a local favorite. It's just like sort of heady sparkling wine concoction with Tanqueray gin, mint, and some lime juice. So if you want to try some of the local things, I think that would be a nice little tip. But far more important than the drink, I think, are the views up here again from the, I believe it's a 52nd story up here, catching the sunset at night, just kind of the, seeing as darkness kind of falls across the city and all the, everything kind of lights up. Those are some of the experiences that we'll get to experience on this as well. But as I mentioned, we're pretty close to the French, or we're actually staying in the French Quarter area. This is what we're looking at right here. This is actually the, historic post office right there in Ho Chi Minh City. So this was actually built during the French colonial times. The Saigon Central Post Office is actually among one of the most impressive post offices in all of Southeast Asia. It's actually been given credit sometimes to Gustave Eiffel, but it was in fact the artwork of, or rather the work of Marie Alfred Falhu, and it's Saigon's acclaimed architect who was actually involved in making this too. So we'll get a chance to experience this. And it's when you take a look inside too that you get to see that it was just, just these beautiful arches. I think I mentioned that it was constructed in 1886 up until 1891. But again, you see these beautiful looping arches and just this intricate design and detail. There's marble floors, antiquated telephone boxes that really just kind of serve as that reminder of what it used to be before we had our mobile phones and email and the modern technology that we have today. Guests are also going to have an opportunity to visit the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is actually built from materials imported all the way from France. I want to include just a quick photo of this. It was officially named the Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. The cathedral was constructed in 1863 and 1880 and is known well by its distinctive twin bell towers that just kind of frame the entrance here. They extend a full 190 feet, but it's this beautiful, another beautiful place to visit that we'll get a chance to walk into. I mentioned before, I want to share another short little video. I want to share this one. This is actually of the Khui tunnels that we're going to be looking at, and these are actually, I'm going to show the video first, then I'll come back and explain just a bit more on this. And I'll share just a bit just to give you an idea. Okay. Well, I see that video was sideways, so sorry that it uploaded that way too, but I want to share just enough so you could see them actually climbing down into these tunnels. So let me get to the next slide here for you. Okay. There we go. So another stop is going to be a visit to the famous Khui tunnels. It's this extensive underground network of tunnels that stretches approximately 150 miles. The communist forces actually began digging this network of tunnels under the jungle terrain of South Vietnam in the late 1940s during their War of Independence from French colonial authority. Tunnels were often dug by hand, only a short distance at a time too. So upwards of 150 miles, you can imagine how long it took to build these tunnels. A bit later, these were of course used by the North Vietnamese during the Vietnam War and helped them to covertly move supplies, troops, and also to survive, helping them to prolong the war. There was actually a period in time where it actually housed up to about 1,200 families. And again, that's families, not individuals. You can imagine just how many people live down in this area. But again, this gives you just kind of a nice kind of cut through look. If we're going to slice through the groundwork, what this looked like, how far they went down, how expansive they were in the area. see another image here. I want to show you what the tunnels actually look like close up. So here's a look at the interior, what the actual passageways look like. It's estimated that at one point, I think I mentioned 1,200 families that live within this area too. Hospitals that they had down here, all the supplies that they would keep down here. The way that you would enter is like we just saw in that short little video clip, those narrow little holes through the ground. They even say that in some areas they had it where they could poke reeds all the way up to the surface so that they could get some oxygen down in these tunnels as well.
Did they let you go? Did they let you go down in those, Richard?
We do get to go down and explore some of these in certain areas. That's right. Yes. So that is an opportunity there too. Yeah. And then after exploring some of the area around there in Ho Chi Minh City, we'll have a chance to board the beautiful Amadora. This is a beautiful ship. It actually affectionately known also as the Love Star. It was built in 2015, has 62 rooms, holds a maximum of 124 guests. Another thing that makes this ship really special is that every stateroom has a balcony. So you have your own private balcony where you can enjoy the scenery passing by, enjoy a drink out in the balcony, maybe some coffee in the morning, get some great photos. But again, just step out there in your robe. We'll share some pictures of some things on board, but I first want to talk to you just a bit about our amazing crew. One thing that I can tell you sincerely is that what we hear more than almost anything else, in some cases even more than the destinations that we're traveling to, is how wonderful our crew was on board. So here's a look at some of the local folks we have on board. The very lower left is one of my wonderful colleagues, Janice Mello. This is from her trip when she was on board just October of last year. So these are fairly recent. And again, the crew is exceptional. They pay attention to all the details. They listen to who wants a cafe mocha after their dinner. What sort of wines the guests like. I even love a story that Janice actually shared. She was on one of our departures. This is actually near, but again, this is the type of service that you can get on any sailing. The conversation at dinner that evening was about white asparagus, and she had never heard of white asparagus. And she shares how the next day at dinner, white asparagus just happens to show up on her plate. So the servers that evening had kind of overheard that conversation. Because we're picking up our ingredients locally and fresh at every stop along the way, somebody made a point to run out, grab some white asparagus and make sure they cook it up and prepare it for her for the next evening. So again, it's those little things that they pay attention to that go well above beyond really the call of duty, what you would expect for anyone. So I thought that was something fun to share. Moving through, let's see a couple of other photos. This is actually a look at our chef's table restaurant. One of the things that makes dinner special on board, for actually I'll even back up and just say, anytime you're traveling, if you're like me, tasting those local cuisines, tasting what the things that are traditional in the area is a really big part of the experience. So every step of the way, we're going to be serving up all the things that you would expect that you're going to be finding in port. We have our main dining restaurant, which operates as more of a progressive dining experience, meaning you're going to have those local cuisines, and as you pull into different ports, whatever might be local to those towns, you're going to find that on our menu as well. If you just want to have a steak that night, though, or if you just want to have a Caesar salad, you can find that on the menu also. But in addition to that, we have this wonderful dining experience that you'll find on board every one of our ships. It's a chef's table restaurant. This is actually where you're going to enjoy a wonderful 6-course meal, but within each of those 6 courses, you're going to have a choice. So it's not just a set 6-course meal. There's going to be some wonderful wine pairings along with this as well. The chef and his team, they'll be preparing the meals behind this glass window station, so you can see them as they're plating the food and preparing it and bringing it out to serve it. It's one of the best experiences on board any AmaWaterways cruise. The other part that I'll mention is that there's something called La Chaîne des Rôtissiers. This is the world's oldest international gastronomic society. It was founded in Paris back in 1248. It ran for a number of years, about 400 years, and it stopped for a period of time. But it's the practice of the old French Royal Guild of Goose roasters, whose authority gradually expanded to roasting all sorts of poultry, meat, and any of the games that were out there. But what I like to share with this is that you cannot submit a request to be part of this society. You just have to be given a designation. AmaWaterways proudly has this designation on board every one of our river cruise ships, in Africa, on the Mekong, and all of our European departures too. So it really just speaks to the high quality of food, the preparation, the presentation, as well as the fresh, locally sourced of the food that I mentioned as well. This next image right here just shows a little bit of what that onboard entertainment is like, right? So it's not like some of the large cruise ships where you're going to get these Las Vegas style, shows and presentations. This is really going to be cultural. This just kind of gives you an idea. We try to make it inclusive for our guests also. You can see down to the lower left, the lower right picture, sorry, where we're inviting the guest up here to learn some of these traditional dances from the area as well. And Don, I know that you've taken some AmaWaterways cruises. Is there anything that you might want to add about some of the things I've shared so far, the dining and just even the onboard entertainment?
Well, I think the most important thing that I found, and we've been on quite a few AmaWaterways cruises, is the guest interaction with the crew. As you were saying, they take a lot of time to know you, to get to know your name, to understand what it is you like, so they can almost predict what you're going to be needing. And they're very fun. They're very playful. They like to play off each other too. So there's a lot of comic relief that goes on sometimes in the dining room, which is really nice to have. But overall, it's just a very pleasant, family feeling, warm place to be when you're traveling. That's what I've experienced mostly.
That's great. Yeah, that's sincere. That's from somebody that's been on board a number of our sailings. So thanks for sharing that. This next slide right here, I mean, you can just see what the architecture and decor is inside. It's got that French colonial feel going along with it. These beautiful like teak woods that we see here, the dark browns. One thing that's unique about AmaWaterways though is that we've got twin balcony staterooms on the majority of our ships. Not every single one of our ships, but pretty much every ship that was made, I believe it was like maybe 2015 and afterwards, are going to have the French balcony that we see on the right side here. It's got this nice little sitting area. I can sit there, enjoy a glass of wine. But what's nice is that the window is pushed right up against the railing. The window, of course, opens, but you get these really nice views. You feel like you're practically right outside there. But then you have the full step-out balcony as well. So if the weather's nice, if it cools off a little bit in the evening, depending on the time of year you're traveling, you have that full step-out balcony as well that we were talking about too. So this, of course, just really adds to the experience. We've also got complimentary Wi-Fi on all of our ships too, not only in the stateroom, but throughout every public area as well. I want to share just another picture of the sun deck up on top here, and I love this particular photo because it captured just an amazing sunset here too, with kind of those purple hues up there as well. But this is another place where guests are just going to want to come out, hang out, even if it is a bit hotter in the afternoon too. You can see that we've got all these nice fans up on top to kind of cool you down just a bit. Plenty of seating here. We've got a plunge pool off to the side where you can cool off as well. But there's nothing like the perspective from the water on any river cruise. So as you're sailing through these areas, you can be sitting in this plunge pool, enjoying a nice glass of wine from another location here. But it just gives you a completely different perspective than you're ever going to have from land.
Mm-hmm.
One of our stops along the river is a small district of an area called Kai Bay, and here we're going to have an opportunity to visit and shop with the locals. This is where many of the local families have made their living for generations on trading, selling goods, fruits, vegetables, spices, and more. You can also find some of the famous caramel coconut candies and snake wine. And yes, I said snake wine. Snake wine is actually an alcoholic beverage produced by infusing whole snakes in rice wine or this grain alcohol. The snake venom proteins are unfolded by the ethanol that they include here, which brings it to this level that one can safely drink it. I don't know that I would try it, but it's something certainly to consider. So this is something that's really fun that we get to see. I didn't have a chance to go into this particular area, but I have been in Southeast Asia before, and I have seen these bottles here. But I personally thought it was a little creepy, but it's still something kind of nice to.
I think if you're going to be there, you have to try it, right? And I know we have quite a few people, watching right now, attending this webinar. I'm really curious if you type in the chat box if you want to try that. I'll do it because I just got to. Because when are you going to see that again, right? You got bragging rights.
Yep. And we are actually going to get a chance to do this, Don, too. So on this next slide, these are some of the up close and personal things you're going to see. In fact, in this picture on the left side, you'll see there as they're cooking this, what they call popped rice. You'll see somebody's wearing their AmaWaterways hat there also. But they cook in these really large pans with sand and stir it up until the rice starts to pop. And then they mix it with some sugar, ginger, they pour it into a mold and cut it into pieces. The image on the right that we're looking at, this is a coconut candy. So we actually, that I talked about just a moment ago, we get to see this being prepared also, and we get to taste some of that in addition to the snake wine also. We will have an opportunity to do a snake wine tasting as well too. So that opportunity is definitely included for our guests. But again, these are some of those immersive experiences that we talked about. While we definitely want to include those things that are the must the must sees, we always look for those opportunities that that might include something that's slightly off the beaten path that would be really unique for our guests as well. I want to include this picture here because this is a picture of one of our owners. This is Gary Murphy. If you remember him from that earlier picture, he was actually up on one of the rickshaws there. This is, I can tell you because I just did a presentation with him yesterday, this is his favorite destination of all the places that AmaWaterways travels. This is him just enjoying a nice meal there in one of the marketplaces. Again, some of these families have been running these stalls for generations, so they're just locals of the area. I've, again, had a chance to enjoy some of the different night markets and things. And it's, again, a fun place because all the locals go here. The food is really nice, especially if you're adventurous to try some different things like the snake wine that I know Don is going to taste. And Don, I want to see a picture of that next year when you go on your group that you got set up. You'll share a bit later too. So maybe you can grab a video of that as well.
Okay.
Let's see. So transportation, obviously we'll be traveling on our beautiful vessel along the way too, but there's going to be a number of different forms of transportation too, from the rickshaws that we get to travel on to the tuk-tuks, which are kind of these little mini golf cart type things. There might even be a chance to hop on an ox cart. This is a part of it. This particular one right here, this probably isn't the best photo, but there's another area that we get to get transported where we're actually traveling right along the river. It's incredibly picturesque. Get some really great photos along the way as well too, as we're transporting you to your next stop along the way to join your next excursion. Let's see. Also, as soon as this moves for us. Okay, so again, just some of this up close and personal. This is actually going into one of the craft shops where we get to kind of how they're putting together we're kind of these different what I want to say here, making these different cloths and like different like rug type things. If you look kind of up close into the machine area up on the right, you'll see how they're taking these different color reeds that they've dyed and actually making these different like floor mats and things too. So you're gonna get some wonderful shopping in the area. Some other really good ones that I want to talk about regarding silk and the silkworms and the silk farm that we'll visit also. So continuing on our way, we'll make our way to Phnom Penh, and in this city is the Royal Palace, which is still the residence of the king. Phnom Penh was named after a Buddhist temple, Wat Nam. It has stood high atop the city here since the 14th century, and Penh was actually a real person. This is actually a nun who played a really prominent role in the founding of this particular city here that we're going to make a stop at. We're going to spend a full day here, actually overnighting. A couple of other quick facts I'd like to share. While earning many nicknames over the years, it's used to be often referred to as Paris of the East or the Pearl of Asia due to the French influence, of course, in the architecture and the overall city design. If you've ever wanted to eat a tarantula, we're talking about some of these exotic things also. This is actually something you can try here. The tarantula kebab seems to be quite a delicacy for some of the locals in the area. Don, I'll leave that one completely up to you. I'll do the snake one tasting, but I think I could leave this one there. And surprisingly enough, or rather unsurprisingly enough, many people say that it actually tastes like chicken. So today we'll enjoy a tuk-tuk ride. Or go ahead, Don.
I would say, of course it does. Everything tastes like chicken. Right?
Everything tastes like chicken, right? So talking about the different forms of transportation, today we're going to enjoy a tuk-tuk ride into the city, also visit one of the largest museums, cultural history, the Canada's leading historical and archaeological museum. The museum houses one of the world's largest collections of Khmer art, which dates back centuries to the ancient times of the Khmer Empire between 802 and 1431. So that's going back pretty far. And just a quick note on the monks. The monks are supposed to, rather supported by profits from the local communities towns and villages in the area where a number of the poorer families would send their sons for food, for shelter, for education. Interestingly enough, though, the monks, they can actually stay for just several days if they wanted to. They can stay for several years, or they can spend a lifetime there. By contrast, the nuns know when they sign up, they're actually signed up to be a nun for life. So there is a little bit of a difference there too, but this, of course, is something that we'll be able to experience visiting some of these different temples as well. Also in Phnom Penh, the killing fields, another opportunity here. This, of course, is optional. As you can imagine, this is a bit more of an emotional experience. Guests don't have to go along with this, but if you appreciate history, want to go experience a bit further, this is an area where the Khmer Rouge, this brutal regime that was ruled under Cambodia, operated under the leadership of Marxist dictator Pol Pot from 75 to 79. Pol Pot's attempts to create a Cambodian master race through social engineering ultimately led to all these deaths. Those killed were either executed as enemies of the regime or died from starvation, disease, or overwork. Historically, this period is shown in the film The Killing Fields has come to also be known as the Cambodian genocide. These are some of the bracelets that a lot of people have left. Also, there were a number of infants that were killed at this time. The history itself and learning about it is interesting. I mean, but it can certainly be overwhelming also. So again, all these different excursions that we include are not mandatory at any level, but there's some things to choose from. If you opted to not do this, you'll of course just have some free time to enjoy exploring the town on your own. Okay, and then from the early 17th century to 1866, Odong served as a royal capital city of Cambodia. Its main attraction, the Odong Mountain, boasts several historic and significant religious structures. At its peak, today Odong is a place of pilgrimage for Cambodians. While here you can be treated to a memorable Buddhist ceremony that we see right here at the monastery to receive a blessing. You'll also get some additional free time afterwards to kind of walk around the temple, explore some of the beautiful artwork, and enjoy the gardens outside as well. Ukotni, the Ukotni Silk Village. So Ukotni, or Silk Island, this is located on the lush banks of the Mekong River. This island is known for its rich tradition, the silk weaving that's been preserved for centuries. Here we're going to visit these 5 villages in this area where approximately 200 families are still nestled in this area, continuing on with this tradition. We'll see how the local artisans engage with the entire silk production, part of weaving these. What they do with the silkworms, they actually place them in these. They boil them, and then after the boil, they place them in these bowls where they can then kind of extract the thread from the cocoons. Forgive me. Once a cocoon is unraveled to a string of silk 100 meters long, then the threads are then dyed into a variety of different covered silks, and then weaved into these wonderful pieces that we see right here. This is the place where you definitely want to buy your silk garments. You'll be able to pick them up a number of other places along the way in all the different towns and things. If you see something you really like, certainly purchase it, because you may not see that in some other areas. But this is a place where it's still really authentic. This is all done by hand. The farms are right here. You can see, these kind of really large, kind of whitish, yellowish worms that where they get the silk from right there as well too. But this is really an experience to see. I want to include this side also. This is one of those examples of being able to just really immerse yourself in the culture. This is one of the local schools that we'd have an opportunity to visit. What a lot of the guests very often do is they may take some school supplies, maybe take some deflated soccer balls and things like that, where when you get a chance to visit this, you can go ahead and donate them to the schools. There's a chance again to meet with the teachers, actually interact with some of the local students. I will share, obviously in this COVID world that we're living at right now, some of these things could potentially change or have certain restrictions on them. I'll talk a little bit about that and what it's going to be like on board a little bit later in the presentation. But this is one of those reasons why guests really love this particular itinerary. So then we make our way into Siem Reap, a beautiful city with both French colonial and Chinese style architecture. It can be seen in the designs throughout various parts of the city here. There's plenty to explore with museums, souvenir handicraft shopping, restaurants, an opportunity to take in the traditional Espora dance. The Espora dances are the dances we've probably all seen at some time in a movie or on television, where the women kind of sewn into these tight-fitting traditional dresses, create this really graceful, sinuous gesture signifying and this as they're narrating these classical myths to these religious stories that they're telling through their dance. Siem Reap is also the gateway to the famous ruins of Angkor Wat. Angkor, this is actually where the Khmer Kingdom from the 9th to 15th century existed. Angkor's vast complex of intricate stone buildings includes preserved Angkor Wat, the main temple, which is pictured on Cambodia's flag. Also, the giant mysterious faces are carved into these Bayon temple at Angkor Thom, which we'll also stop at as well, which is not actually quite the same as Angkor Wat. It's actually a city, Angkor Thom, where there's some wonderful ruins as well. I like to mention at this part also just kind of the border crossings along the way. So as we make our way from Vietnam into Cambodia, this is really done in a very seamless way. Passports and visas are actually handed to our cruise managers as we start that day and entering into a new country. They'll basically hold on to these for the balance of that day as they're taking care of all the paperwork on the back end, and then they'll just hand you your documents at the end of the day after they've got everything taken care of. Don, I'm sure, would make this recommendation as well for you, though. Anytime you're traveling internationally, make some copies of your passports, your visa. Take an extra copy with you, keep it in your stateroom, maybe leave another one with your family or friends back home as well. Don, I'm not sure if you have anything that you would add to that tip.
No, on the visas, they're fairly, depending on where you're at in the country, they're fairly easy to obtain. We can help you with those too. There's some different groups we work with or companies we work with to get those visas. But yeah, absolutely, making a copy of your passport is important to do that. Leave it, take one with you, leave one in your room, leave one at home, leave one with the family. You never know when something might happen, you might need to get a copy of it. So that's important.
Very good. So, Angkor Wat, I don't know that anything prepares you when you're able to visit up close in person, with your own eyes, kind of falling on what's in front of you. One thing that I'll just share personally for me that got me interested in travel. I've loved history and geography. I've always been interested in maps and things and learning about different cultures. So that really kind of got me into travel. But those moments when you're traveling, even if you love travel as much as, say, Don and I, obviously if you're listening to this presentation, you do, but there's that moment where you've seen something just in, maybe National Geographic book or in a movie or different photos. But that precise moment, that anticipation leading up to, when you turn this corner, Angkor Wat temple as an example is going to, be right in front of you. This is going to be full of a number of amazing moments like that also. So this, of course, will be one of our optional excursions here. This is just a short trip out of Siem Reap, probably no more than about 20, 30 minutes maximum, depending on some traffic. And then Angkor Archeological Park, vegetation, I think it says right here, can be pretty powerful as we see it just kind of taking over the different temples in this area. If anybody has seen the movie Tomb Raider, this is actually where a number of parts of it were actually filmed. And I did mention earlier also, it's easy, a lot of people make that mistake that Angkor Thom is actually another temple, but it's not. It's actually a whole city. Angkor means city, Thom actually means big. So kind of put those together. That's another stop they're going to be making as well. And then as we kind of round some things off here to complete this presentation, I did talk about those different places where you can add additional time here too. Ha Long Bay is actually where we'll end our trip. You can extend your time a bit further. So we're going to find ourselves here. It's known for its emerald waters, thousands of these towering limestone islands that we see here in the pictures, topped with these little mini rainforests, the junk boat tours that we'll see, all the different kayaks in the area. There's actually going to be this really wonderful opportunity where we're going to do this cruise to the area where there's going to be this amazing meal, do some wine tasting on board. There's kayaks that are there for your leisure if you want to head out and kind of explore the water a bit on your own. So this will be a really, really fun time on the trip. Again, you can extend your time a bit longer. We will have some time here overnighting here. And then this really about kind of wraps up this part of the presentation. But before I move on to some of the current state of the business, and that's just a few slides, is there anything that you might want to add to this part here, Don?
Well, the only thing I would say is about the cruise. If you can take the extra time to do the extension on Hanoi and then Ha Long Bay, that cruise is an overnight, is it not? Do you spend the night on the cruise ship?
This is correct.
In the bay.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
And though I have not experienced personally, that has been one of the highlights of some of our clients that have come back and said that was just an amazing thing. So definitely think about those extensions just to optimize your experience there.
That's right. That's right. Great. So just continuing on, just to share a little bit of what things are like presently for AmaWaterways. Let's take a quick look at the state of the business update. I'm going to talk about this really quick too, because, you know, in planning for when we're all able to go back to travel, or as you're making your travel plans right now, being optimistic that you'll be able to go next year or even into 2022. Our books are open up for 2022, so pretty far out. We put something out called our Travel Waiver Plus, and this is really to allow you to be able to protect your travel investment in full. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a full monetary refund if you cancel, but it protects the value of it. So just as an example, between 60 and 90 days, once you've made full payment, if you wanted to cancel for any reason, or if there's some unforeseen circumstance that comes up, you can cancel. If you would cancel without the Trip Waiver Plus, say for a non-covered reason, you'd normally be at a 35% penalty. With this example, with the Travel Waiver Plus, however, we would actually take that 35%, hold onto it and retain it as a future cruise credit. So when you're ready to travel the next time, we've got that credit on file for you. You can do this all the way up to 24 hours prior to departure. So of course that percentage will change, but ultimately the full value will be protected. This next slide right here is talking about the hygiene standards, how we've kind of increased all the safety things on board, the cleanliness of things on board. I can tell you firsthand, things are kept incredibly clean. You know, the folks on board are going around, you know, cleaning all the railings, cleaning the windows, cleaning the restrooms on a regular basis. We've upped that even further. So it's just kind of around the clock cleaning that's going on now. We've upgraded to hospital grade disinfectants on board all of our ships. We do have a single ship that is actually sailing right now. We're the only American river cruise line that has a ship sailing presently in Europe. It's sailing on the Rhine River, doing two different round trip itineraries from Cologne, Germany. Right now, this is exclusive to the German-speaking audience, and there's a German company that's chartered one of our vessels, the Ama Christina. But I share this too because not only have we been putting all these plans in place, doing our research to see what the European Union is going to put out and what the individual countries on top of that might put out, because we're not sailing in international waters like some of the ocean cruise vessels. We're within country limits every step of the way. So we have to take all those things into account. But what's been nice with this is that we're able to do a bit of a dress rehearsal, if you will, to put all those things in practice right now. I can tell you the response has been received incredibly well. I just heard yesterday that we had one guest that actually booked their third cruise already, and we've been doing this now for about 6.5 weeks, coming up on 7 weeks already. So the response has been great. On board the ship, what's it going to be like in addition to all the cleaning that we're doing that I mentioned? And this is something that's been happening along the way too. So there may be health officials that step on board at any point in time to make sure that we're managing things properly. In different public areas that we see here in the lounge, there are these plexiglasses that have been set up between some of the different sitting areas in the lounge area. So if you've had a chance to go to a restaurant, you know that when you walk into the restaurant, you wear your mask. If you get up to use the restroom, or when you're leaving the restaurant, you'll wear a mask also. But the majority of the time you're sitting down. And that's what it's going to be like on board the ship. As we see right here in this picture, you know, the plexiglass it's nice, it's clean, it's unobstructed. You're still getting those amazing views outside, but you can still carry on those conversations with the other folks on board the ship. Let's see, I've left anything. I think that's the main stuff I wanted to share there. And then I want to talk about some special offers. So we have a really wonderful current offer in place right now where you can receive up to $1,500 per stateroom or free air on select departures. In addition to that, you may have some opportunities to receive up to $300 onboard credit, once again, on select departures. This is per stateroom. And if you book by Wednesday, September 23rd, so that would be 2 weeks from today, there's also an exclusive savings that you would receive just for listening to this presentation of Dawn's, where you receive an additional $100 per person savings too. So if there's any interest, or if you just want to get some ideas, Dawn, I know would be happy just to share with some of those opportunities and options might be, and kind of steer you to where you can get the best value. Yeah. So at this point, I think we've fully concluded the presentation. Dawn, I know there's something that you wanted to share though regarding the group that you have put together for next year.
Right. First of all, as you see, this is obviously our phone number, our email address. If you have any questions, just want to give me a call and talk about any type of travel, not just with AmaWaterways, but just travel in general, please reach out to us. We do have a group going on the Charms of the Mekong in August 16th, 2021. And for everybody that's on this broadcast, this webinar, I'm going to be sending you an email, of course, thanking you for joining us today, but also I'll put a link in there to the actual webpage that we've constructed with all the details, pricing information, and itinerary and such like that. So, and you can ask questions through there or give me a call. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. So send me an email at dhathaway@dreamvacations.com or call us at the 805-978-5870 number. But be looking forward to that in your email. You will receive a link to that particular sailing that we're doing.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Don. I'm not seeing any questions come in at the moment, but again, you have all of Don's contact information. I encourage you to reach out to him if there's anything that you just want to bounce off him or just to get some ideas. You can steer in the right direction. But I just want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you once again, Don. We look forward to being able to welcome you on board one of our AmaWaterways cruises very, very soon. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending.